How would you like the global convergence to be perceived by an audience viewing a monument of your design? I was given this question for a history project, and as I thought of all the monuments that we could create to represent the global convergence, I thought maybe we got it right in the past and just need to put it into a modern day perspective. That's a bold statement, and if you disagree, make sure to leave an angry comment down below. This is my engagement, but just hear me out to the end of the video. Now, for context, for those of you who haven't taken a high school history class, the global convergence is when, overall, the world became more interconnected through largely nautical advancements and increased trade networks. Several factors began to the Columbian Exchange in the 15th and 16th centuries, which is mostly attributed to Christopher Columbus and his voyages beginning in 1492. This led to the spread of plants that were going to save empires such as maize and sweet potatoes in China, to the influx of silver that was necessary for Europe to trade with Asia, and also some of the most deadliest diseases known to the New World. Oops. Well, I think it's time to talk about the elephant in the room, and I'm pretty sure you can guess it. It's slavery. Well, we could go over the different types of slavery, such as indentured servitude, but I just really don't have the time for that, so whenever I mention slave, just know that I'm talking about enslaved people taken from the coast of Africa and brought to a distant land. One of the few things happen when a European ship arrives to the coast of an African kingdom. One, the person is forcibly taken, or two, which is more likely, a person is sold by the kingdom/state to the Europeans in exchange for valuable material, or even guns to stop other towns/kingdoms/states, you get the point, to stop them from stealing people that they're already going to sell. So when you think about it, this became a self-propelling cycle, and not only that, it led to other conflict in the area and further destabilization in the region. I mean, these people who were sold into slavery were generally considered lowlifes or criminals, but if the rulers knew what we know now in hindsight, I doubt that they would do it. I mean, let's think about this for a moment. According to Britannica, most of these Africans who were taken were adult men. By removing these adult men from society, it led to a complete hole in the workforce. It led to less people to tend fields and overall lack of just basic laborers. These slaves were mostly brought to the Americas for agricultural reasons. Britannica says that most favored by slave owners were commercial crops such as olives, grapes, sugar, cotton, tobacco, coffee, and certain forms of rice. You might ask me, when am I going to talk about the monument? Oh well, which look at the time, it's time for me to talk about the thing that I was just about to talk about. Well, I'm standing right in front of the statue that unequivocally represents one of the most influential men of the modern world. But his importance is often overshadowed by his role in the Columbian Exchange, which included the introduction of diseases, invasive plants, and animals, in addition to opening up the door to abuse the natives and the slave triangle. So, obviously the statue nor the man it represents are perfect. So, what do we do about it? See, it's impossible to create a perfect statue that will be able to stand the test of time, and I don't mean the very materials that it's made of. What I mean are the ideas and the messages that it represents. I mean, for example, it was okay to describe black people as, well, I can't say the word because I'm in a public park, but you know what I mean, to Negro, and finally to black/African Americans. Even a similar thing happened with the Native Americans, and I mean, even to this day, it's still up to debate if Native American is an appropriate way to refer to the original settlers of the American continent. Similarly, in the 21st century, we're beginning to look more at the victims of the actions of important people. So, why do we keep statues up like these instead of replacing them with a new one? Well, like I previously stated, most statues can't completely fit our ideals even a century into the future. I mean, like this one was built 128 years ago in 1892. So, that continues to beg the question, how do we remember these undeniably important people so we do not recreate their mistakes? How do we ensure that the victims will not be left out of the equation? How can we sum up one of the most important events in human history into one statue that could outlive human civilization itself? Well, the answer is simple. We don't. Simply because we can't. To complete all three things that I just listed, it will be nonetheless impossible, so why should we even attempt it? I mean, is it really worth falling into the same cycle a century into the future, where we need to take down this monuments that we built today? So, if we can't build a perfect statue, then what's the solution? Well, I already said it. we can put it into a modern day context. And if you want me to be honest, I'm not even sure how we should do that. But personally, I believe that it should be up to the people and the communities that surround monuments like these to dictate how they should be handled in the future. Maybe as our ideals change, we also change the way that we look at these statues. I mean, when these were built, they're most likely used to glorify these figures of the Columbian Exchange and its effects. But does this still need to be that? I mean, could these ever be viewed in a different way? Perhaps, with a few modifications. A few people say that there should be extra plaques around the statues to give them more context that they so desperately need, especially in the modern day. But my personal favorite is to put a piece of glass in front of the statue with writing on it. See, the idea is that a piece of glass will be placed so that way the viewer can look through the glass to see the statue. The writing on the glass will give context to the statue. This will allow viewers to see the statue through a literal and figurative historical lens. I mean, it looks like some people already been making some modifications of their own. But on a serious note, we shouldn't try to continue to glorify as people who contribute to the atrocities of the Columbian Exchange. But perhaps if we're able to look at these statues through a historical lens with the help of the modifications I just spoke about, maybe we'll see them less as glorification, but rather a reminder of the past. So why do I say let statues like these stand? Why don't we replace with something new? I mean, I'm not a racist or a bigot, and I fully know the causes and effects of the Columbian Exchange and its victims, but rather for the very reasons why people want this removed. Because they offend us. Only if we are offended by the mistakes of our past, we can look forward to the future to not repeat them. People need to look at these statues and feel disgust or be offended. We need the constant reminder of what humans are capable of if we do not consider the people we are victimizing for our own personal gains. For you see, those who do not know their history are doomed to repeat it. Thank you so much for watching. Is my face in focus? Oh gosh, the focus is slow. See, it's almost impossible to create a perfect... Oh, that's why. That's why it's doing the weird thing.